What's up, guys? It's Benny. We have a sunken and fallen world, and horrible tragedies can occur, but even in those tragedies, there is light. It's important to talk about it, because otherwise, man, you will take a black pill and never return. Horrible stories like this. Close to 100 people dead in flash floods in Texas, including a bunch of little girls at a summer camp. Oh, it's awful. It's called Camp Mystic, private Christian camp for girls. 27 campers and counselors died during the floods. It's awful. President Trump obviously monitoring the whole thing, saying it's completely terrible. However, in the darkness, there is light. American hero, first responder, Scott Ruskin, the Coast Guard aircrew. He didn't hesitate and saved nearly 200 lives, some of them from that Christian camp. He reminds us what it means to be an American. What a complete and total patriot. 2 Catholic sisters were among the many who lost their lives in central Texas flooding. Look at that. Oh, it's just terrible to see. Ruskin was on Good Morning America today. Absolute G, talking about how he just decided to go in and use some of that toxic masculinity to freaking save lives. This is what it looks like to actually, spot the difference. Alejandro Mayorkas during the North Carolina flood and Kristi Noem during the Texas flood. Can you spot the difference? The difference that I spot is that there's actually somehow more testosterone in Kristi Noem than there is in Alejandro Mayorkas and his little hot pants outfit there. It's been just a total and absolute tragedy. Everyone from the First Lady to the President obviously calling out and helping. Great assistance happening in central Texas. Over close to 1,000 people have been successfully rescued, so it could have been much, much worse. Absolutely incredible number given the utter devastation. Heroes are working around the clock to save as many lives as possible. But there is someone who is very much the anti-hero of the story, and every story, is Rosie O'Donnell. Sitting inside of her little exile cave in Ireland with her pot of gold, Rosie is shrieking into her phone, saying that it's Donald Trump's fault for the devastating flash floods in Texas that led to a river to rise 26 feet in 45 minutes. So how the hell do you defend against that? Well, they put out a major flash flooding warning. Some are saying that maybe they could have called for an evacuation, but when you have something that's so devastating happening so quickly, it's hard, to plan on that. Horror story in Texas, O'Donnell said, flash floods, more children missing. The president guts all the early warning systems. Okay. So this isn't true, but we'll let Rosie.
And what a horror story in Texas. The flash floods in Texas, the Guadalupe River. 51 missing, 51 dead, more missing. Children at a camp. And when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis, because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible, horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law. As Republicans cheered, people will die as a result, and they've started already. Shame on him. Shame on every GOP sycophant who's listening and following the disastrous decisions of this mentally incapacitated POTUS. Hard to believe. Some people on this TikTok and on Instagram say, well, you moved, why do you care?
It's her second nose pick.
I moved so I wouldn't have a nervous breakdown. I moved so that I could be away from it and have some type of shield from the intimacy of it, because I don't do well in world crises.
Okay, I don't think that anybody's had an intimacy problem with Rosie in a very, very long time. But also, so if you move to be away from it, why do you take to TikTok multiple times a day to talk about it? and to call for the overthrow of the government and say that Trump's illegitimate. Like, why do you do that? If that's the point, if the point here is that you're trying to move away, well, then why are you obsessed with it and constantly talking about it and blaming Trump for 1,000-year floods?
I don't, starting with the Vietnam War when I was a small child. I don't do well. I know myself enough to know when he got reelected, it was time to go. And all that you needed to propel your movement was reading Project 2025, and sadly, not many Americans did that. And if they did, they didn't believe it. Why? Because the president was lying, saying he knew nothing about it, and he wasn't going to follow it. And he's followed every single thing that they said he was going to do. The GOP, the Republicans, the Heritage Foundation. It is disastrous for the United States, our country.
Okay, enough. All right, got it. Okay. Psychobabble, left-wing lady. She moves halfway across the world and still only thinks about Trump. In reality, the National Weather Service office affected areas had extra staff during the storms. All Democrats do is lie. Luckily, Karoline Leavitt was around today to take a chip off the old block and respond to Rosie O'Donnell and those who are saying that this is Trump's fault. Here we go.
Unfortunately, in the wake of this once-in-a-generation natural disaster, we have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning. Here are the facts. In the lead up to this tragic natural disaster, the National Weather Service did its job. Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon. Flash flood warnings were also issued on the night of July 3rd and in the early morning of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before flash flooding conditions occurred. And the National Weather Service office in New Braunfels, which delivers forecasts for Austin, San Antonio, and the surrounding areas, had extra staff on duty during the storms, despite claims of the contrary. So to any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sick to use there are natural disasters. They happen all over the place. I live in a place with hurricanes. They're not good. People die in the hurricanes. We know that the hurricane's coming for like weeks in advance. People still die. It's like, just is what it is. Sometimes the storms are worse than you think. Sometimes you just can't, control people 100% of the time. It's insane to rant here that Donald Trump caused all of this. It's really sick. It shows a very warped brain. Also, like, where was Rosie when Lahaina in Hawaii was burning to the ground? Like, this is something that was literally caused by the government. In Hawaii, the city burned to the ground. This poor working class city of Lahaina burned to the ground, and the federal government locked the people into the city, told them not to leave. They blocked the roads. That's a matter of fact. The AP wrote a whole article about it. Where was Rosie then? Was she calling out evil Joe Biden for doing that? It is a complete and total lie, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so how about we leave you with something a little more heartwarming, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the toxic masculinity American hero, straight out of Top Gun, talking about how he quite effortlessly saved nearly 200 lives in this Texas natural disaster flash flood because he just loves his country and his countrymen. We need more of this and less of Rosie.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So I'll kind of give you guys a quick synopsis of what was going on. The Coast Guard launched us and decided to send a rescue crew from Air Station Corpus Christi at about 6:30, 7 a.m. on Friday, the 4th of July. I just happened to be on the duty crew with Ian Hopper, Blair Rougefort, Seth Reeves, some of our crew members in the Coast Guard. And they sent us out. We kind of encountered some pretty serious weather, some of the worst flying we've ever dealt with personally. It took us, which should have been an hour flight, probably took us about 7 or 8 just to get into the landing zone. Once made about 4 different approaches trying to get in, we were able to get boots on the ground with the Air National Guard, Department of Public Safety for Texas, game wardens. And when we decided to leave me on scene at Camp Mystic, that was kind of our main triage site we were trying to help out with. And we decided, hey, if we leave the rescue swimmer on scene, we'll have more space in our Dolphin MH65. So based on that, I got on scene, boots on the ground at Camp Mystic. Kind of discovered I was the only person there as far as like first responders go. So yeah, I had about 200 kids mostly, all scared, terrified, cold, having probably the worst day of their life, and I just kind of need to triage them, get them to a higher level of care, and get them off the flood zone with a lot of the US-60 Army helicopters.
Talk about how that works. You got 165, close to 200 kids there. How do you get them out? Just one by one?
Yeah, sir, it's a great question. So the United States Army National Guard was landing their 60s with Task Force 1, some of their rescue swimmers, and they were able to land. We kind of came up with 2 different landing zones. There was one off an archery field and then one at a soccer field. So yeah, we were able to kind of land those 60s in there. And then I was kind of the main guy as far as like grabbing people, usually like 15 to 10 kids at a time, maybe one adult with them, and bringing them over to those 60s and getting them to a different LZ that was kind of safe and had more first responders than just myself out there.
Had you ever done this before?
No, this is my first one. I haven't had any cases before. I've been a rescue swimmer for about a year, fully trained for about 6 months. So yeah, this is my first experience, but I really just kind of relied on the training we get. Coast Guard rescue swimmers get some of the highest level training in the world. So really just kind of relied on that, and that, just knowing that any of the rescue swimmers in the Coast Guard would have done the exact same, if not better than me. So
training is one thing, but this was the real deal.
Yeah, this is definitely the real deal, but I just remembered that, when I got on scene, there was, 200 kids looking to someone for some sort of comfort and safety. They don't really know what my experience is or my rank or my age. They just know, hey, this guy's a professional and he's here to help us, and I kind of had to live up to that standard. But yeah, the real heroes, I think, were the kids on the ground. Like, those guys are heroic, and they were dealing with some of the worst times of their lives, and they were staying strong, and that helped inspire me to kind of get in there and help them out.
Well, you sure stayed strong as well. Thank you for joining us this morning. Congratulations on a job well done.
Yeah.